But he does want to try. But we also, me and Chase don't drink and we don't do anything crazy, so like, he said that it would be a TikTok event, so. Yeah, Biz. Thank you for the follow. Each stream, yeah, drink. Yeah. Well, me and Chase don't really like, you know, we don't gamble. We don't do anything like that, so. And lots of people in Vegas, you know, they're inhaling stuff, they're drinking things, they're, you know, gambling. They're doing a lot of things, and we don't do that. Thank you for the roses, Marky. But this next year in January, I want to be making at least $1,000 or more so I can make sure that I'm paying for my health insurance, right? Because, you know, I have to take half of what I make and put it in my savings. So it will be like, you know, health insurance, and then half of that has to go away for taxes. Yeah, that exactly. And me and Chase aren't like that. So, like, that's my goal, like, January. I want to be able to, hi, Tucker. I want to be able to get a health insurance. And I need to set up appointments because I have to set up appointments to see a doctor for my PCOS. And then I want to figure out what else is wrong with me. Like, you know, figure out if it's something else, because I don't think it's my blood sugar. So I want to figure out what's going on so I can do more. I can't. So this is the issue with health insurance, okay? Because I live with Chase, you know, and I'm not letting, like, Chase pay for my medical stuff. This is something that I'm doing for myself, and I want to be able to pay for it myself. Like, it's, you know. And Chase doesn't go to the doctors all the time, and I had all of this stuff before I moved in with Chase. So the issue with, like, Medicaid is I wouldn't be able to get it because Chase makes too much. And since we live together, yeah, I wouldn't be able to because it's house income. So when, like, I'm looking at taxes, it's like, what's the income from, you know, like, the house? So, like, everyone in the house. I was asking, because I called... I think it might be. Nathan, thank you for the donuts. I called online. I talked about this. This girl hung up on me and I cried. I called online and she said, how much, you know, do you make? And I said, well, I don't make that much. But my boyfriend does, but the health insurance would be for me. And I guess how much he makes counts. So, like, you know, I had to set how much, you know, roughly he makes with maybe a little bit of what I make. And, yeah. So I would have to pay for it. I wouldn't be able to get, like, Medicaid or nothing. I would have to pay out of pocket. And then I could pay, you know, anywhere from maybe, like, $20 to, like, a couple $100, depending on how expensive the appointment I had was. So, and that's with, like, what, 70% coverage from my health insurance. So I have to make sure that I'm at least making, like, $1,000 monthly. Probably a little more, over $1,000 month, you know, a month. I want to make sure that I'm making at least over $1,000 a month. Because I have to, you know, I still have to pay out of pocket, you know. I may have to pay $20 there and $20 here out of pocket, and then my insurance covers the rest. So that's my goal, January. I have to make sure that I make, like, you know, $1,000 or more, because I have to cut that in half. So you have to think, if I make $1,000, right? Half of what I make has to go into my savings for taxes because I'm self-employed, right? So half of what I make goes into my savings for my taxes, and then, you know, that leaves me with, like, $500, right? So it's like, you know, there's my insurance money, and then there's my tax money. Yeah, Kaylee. So it's like, you know, so I want to make sure that I'm making a little more than that so I can pay any out-of-pocket fees I have to before my insurance covers it. But my goal in January is to, like, set up an insurance, you know, make sure I can pay for it and all of that other stuff. They kind of said blood sugar, and then they kind of just hung on that, Shay. They never they never checked for anything else. So, and it's kind of getting to the point where, like, I'm getting, like, really frustrated because it's getting really hard for me to take a shower now. Like, I used to go to the gym, I used to do all of this stuff, and I can't do it.